I am hoping for like this big bushy mess over here full of some kind of squash. Mint will bully a whole garden bed. Shoot, it will bully a whole garden. And if the squash vine boys take out 3 or 4 plants, I probably got 10. Hello, welcome to Yellow Door Urban Homestead. I am Asia, and I'm an urban gardener growing in a small space out in my backyard. So guess what we're doing tonight? We are doing a garden tour. I'm so excited, y'all. Can y'all see all the green and all the growth out here? I am so excited. So listen, I know I told y'all, let's talk for a minute. I know I told y'all that we were that we was gonna have a video on Monday, right? You know what I forgot Monday? That I had to take my daughter shopping for her 8th grade dance. We had the dress. She needed shoes. She needed makeup. She needed accessories. We still ain't finished. So, we're going to do a garden tour tonight. I really did want to see y'all Monday, but I could not listen. It was such a long weekend. But, so, still loving the bistro set. I saw somebody said that they had purchased it. Ooh, you're going to love it. I am taking the pillows up because it rained and I don't want it to get dirty. I really want this set to last for a while. Someone said cover it. I'm probably gonna do that too. But I figured we'd sit here and have a quick little talk so I can tell y'all why I won't here on Monday, because y'all, I was tired. Anyway, let's talk about the garden. So if you are new here, I am in Zone 7B. I am in Virginia. I am growing in my backyard. I live in an urban setting. I'm sure you can hear the birds and stuff now, but eventually you're probably going to hear a dog barking. You're going to hear a car passing, a motorcycle, something like that. That's what we do over here. Sometimes I will stop if it's too much noise. But also, it's like 7 something. It's going to get it's going to get dark soon. So I want to go ahead and get this garden tour started. We have done so many things. The most exciting bed, or the bed I think is like the most put together in the cutest, is the bed with the dahlias and the beans, where we're supposed to have marigolds and gumfrina and we don't, but it's still coming together. So we're gonna start there, and then we're gonna start walking around the garden. So y'all look at it. I put stakes in it on the zinnias. I think I said dahlias. These are zinnias. So I put stakes on the zinnias because I want the zinnias to grow tall. And then in the middle of the zinnias are beans. We have that one Kilimanjaro marigold that made it. And we do have some scabiosa down here. I planted some of my miniature sunflowers down here too, so we'll see what happens. And then we have another scabiosa right there. So I'm pretty excited about this bed. If you remember, we tried to put some sunflowers back there. It didn't work. I think it's only one of those sunflowers left, so we probably will not be trying that again. But listen, over here I also try things to see how it works, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know what else we still got? We still have blueberries. We still have a bunch of blueberries And I mean, the birds ain't even thinking about them this year. I'm very surprised. I mean, like, very surprised. And I already did a harvest of blueberries. So sweet. So sweet, right? Like, I did a harvest of blueberries over the weekend, I think, when I was getting the garden ready for like a pretty cool opportunity that I had come my way. I'm pretty excited about it. I can't tell y'all what it is, but when it happens, I will absolutely let y'all know. I have already harvested those blueberries and the birds aren't thinking about them. I'm very excited because I also haven't gotten them covered. So look at all the blueberries, y'all. They just growing and growing and growing. This variety is going to take a while. We have a few on there already, but this variety, it's going to take some time for those to mature. So let's turn to the bed in the middle. That's right behind the blueberries. And this is the bed that we had put a lot of basil in. And there's also some calendula in there. I do like calendula. It is so pretty. This is the basil that we had cut down, you know, pruned it a little bit so it could get bushier, and that's exactly what's happening. The sunflowers in front of it, they trying. I don't know why it's taking so long. But they drying, and some of these are new. They did not come up, and so I had to replant them. But there's sunflowers going down the bed as well. And then there are nasturtiums in the front. I can't wait for those nasturtiums to start flowering. And then these are onions. I don't know what's going to come of them, but I'm leaving them anyway. It's kind of late. But I'm also thinking about replanting the bricks with onions because I pulled some onions this weekend, and I'll show you those. They weren't very big, but I'm still going to see, you know, if I could plant them again. We'll see. The other thing that's in this bed are beans in the back. So behind the basil are beans, and then behind the beans are melons. And so a lot of those melons I just put in because they did not germinate when I tried to direct sow them. So I started them from seed like I had told you all, and then I said, like, as soon as they pop up, I'm putting them in the ground, and that's what I did. They're kind of small. I feel like they may get shaded a little bit by the basil and the beans, but if they do, the beans will come out probably sometime in July because they are bush beans, so they're not going to grow the whole season. And I would normally replant them after they die out that time. But if my melons are struggling because I have such a long growing season, I'll just take the beans out and not replant those and let this be melon and basil. But if you remember, I said I am going to try to plant my beds as dense as I can this year, and I really am doing that. So now we're going to go behind, well, technically in front of this bed, beside the zinnia bed that I just showed you, and show you all of the tomatoes are finally on the Florida weed. I'm so excited, and we have so many flowers right now. So with that being said, me planting out at like first, second week of May, it has not stunted my plants at all. I don't feel like I'm any more behind than I have been in other years. I feel like my growth is pretty much the same. You know, I did this last year to see. It worked out pretty well, so I was like, I'm doing it again this year. So I'm pretty sure moving forward, my planting week will be the first week of May from here on out. So we're gonna go around the tomatoes over here to the strawberry bed, and the strawberry bed is looking good. We have strawberries that need to be picked. I'm probably gonna get out here and do that sometime this week, probably like tomorrow, because you can't leave them too long. Because if I do, between the snails and the P.O bugs, they're gonna get eaten all up. But it's strawberries all down in here. Let's see. See, we got another one right there. Like, there's strawberries all down in that patch of strawberries, and I love it so much. And right beside the strawberry bed, we have more tomatoes that have been trellised, and I broke the one over there, but I still decided to put the strings up because as it grows, I can just start to trellis it. And we're gonna get more tomatoes from here. These would be suckers, but because I broke it, they're gonna end up being my one of them will end up being my leading tomato plant. And so there's 2 rows over here, 7-gallon bags, 2 rows on T-post, and it looks really good to me. This is how I grew them last year, and I loved it so much because I was like, oh yeah, we're definitely doing that again this year. I used to use the same stakes that I am using for the zinnias, but once the plant gets heavy, once the tomatoes start growing, it just starts to be messy to me. And so I love this method right here. I had showed you all how I do that in, like, I guess my last video I showed that, or the video before last. I showed you all how I do that, and I absolutely love that method of trellising my tomatoes. Now, it's a little more work, but at the same time, I feel like my tomatoes grew better. I feel like it wasn't nearly as messy. So that's gonna be the way that I trellis my tomatoes from here on out. And y'all, the potatoes, they should be due like sometime in July, late June, early July, but they are still nice and green. They are still bushy, growing. They've all flowered already. But this whole line that comes down the middle of my garden is potatoes. And then we have a few more over here because they volunteered. And I refuse to get rid of them. Because potatoes, I love potatoes. And so I refuse to get rid of them. We kept every volunteer potato. And that's just what we did. So beside the potatoes on this side, I pulled the peppers out of the greenhouse. So what you're seeing right here is a pepper that was moved over the weekend that's trying to now get established. The lower leaves look horrible, but if you remember, I had to do this last year. I had to pull peppers out of the beds and put them in bags because they weren't doing well. I am very new to greenhouse growing, and so I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing with that. So instead of me losing peppers, because I made sure not to start too much of anything this year, well, I attempted because I absolutely started too many tomatoes this year. But peppers, I started like just about the right amount, and I didn't want to lose any peppers to my learning curve. And so right here we had 2 more bags, and so these are also peppers that came out of the greenhouse. And so, you know, I'm taking off any kind of buds right now just to let them get established. But the newer leaves are nice and green. These absolutely are yellow, but we just gonna let them stay. That's another one. And then over here, we have some peppers who have been in the bags for quite some time. They started their life out in those bags, and so that's why they're green and they're looking good. Now, I'll tell you what I did do. Those 3 that I put into those bags, I did not amend the soil. I did not amend the soil because I want to see if my comfrey tea alone will allow me to grow in bags without buying a whole bunch of extra things, right? Here's the thing about growing in bags. Whatever you put in the bag is the only thing that the plant is gonna get. I'm wondering if comfrey tea is good enough. So we did not amend those bags, and we are gonna follow that this year, because if comfrey tea is enough, that's what I'm gonna be using. And then we have a garden bed here that's right beside the trellis when you come into the garden. And so we've planted that up too. I'm not really sure what most of this is because, and there's some over here too, that we, y'all forgive me, I don't know what's going on with my spot control. I need to learn how to use this camera. So yeah, we have some melons. This is the only one I'm sure of. It's a amarilla melon. Still has the little cap on it. So that's the amarilla melon, which I think is something like honeydew. I've never grown it before. I've had the seeds for a while. So we're gonna see what happens. Hopefully this trellis will be full of melons and melon leaves, and it'll be a beautiful little walk into the garden. But over here, we have peppers looking amazing. Not these. These are 2 that came out of the greenhouse. But we have other peppers that's been here, and they look amazing, y'all. I'm so excited because, you know, I've not had the best luck with growing peppers in bed. I never tried to grow them in this bed, like in the ground. I did try to grow them over in the bed over there. They didn't do that well last year either. So we're gonna see how they do, because the reason why, like, my potatoes are still in all of those bags, and that was not the plan. So I was like, well, we just gonna put them in the ground. If they grow well, awesome. If they don't, I can always move them. So beside the peppers, oh, there's nasturtiums in front of those peppers too. This one is looking a little light green, but we just gonna see what happens. But there's nasturtiums all down that row in front of them. And then we have a bunch of squash plants over here. And so I had planted 2 squash in a hole, and they all came up. So I just moved them. I slightly dug the second one instead of taking both out, left one and then moved it. But they seem like they transplanted pretty well. And I did this, probably Monday or even Tuesday maybe, because Monday I was out and about. The lettuce did not do well that I put here, but something was also digging it up. I think it was the bird that was in here. I don't know if she's still in there or not. Her eggs are. Or no, they look like, wait a minute, y'all. It looks like the eggs, oh no, have maybe, oh, they're hatching. I think they're hatching. They started off blue, so maybe they're about to hatch. I'm not sure. But I think she was digging in this bed, and so the lettuce didn't do well, and that's fine. I put some nasturtiums around there. That was Saturday, I guess. I put some nasturtiums around there, and so we'll see what happens with that bed too. I am hoping for like this big bushy mess over here full of some kind of squash. I believe we planted that bed together. I'm pretty sure we planted that bed together. So I'm hoping for a bunch of squash over there, and I'm just gonna be excited if that happens. And of course, the orchard, the grapevine is absolutely still taking over, but we have a lot of little grape clusters. So I'm hopeful that we get a lot of grapes. These are muscadine grapes. I like to eat them. I know it has the seed in it. You have to spit the seed out and spit the casing out, but I like to eat them. I think they're very tasty. They're delicious if you ask me. And so that's why I chose muscadine grapes, because I could go in the store and get a regular grape any day. It's not cheap, but I can go and do that. Muscadine grapes I can't really find, so I was happy to be able to get that grape tree. Grapevine. It is absolutely not a tree, although it is giving tree, the way that it is like growing everywhere. And I did cut some of those vines because they were just kind of everywhere, and I wanted them not to be. So look at this pretty little thing. This is the Shasta daisy, and it is about to start showing off over here. Look at all these buds. This plant is always really big. It is perennial. There is a echinacea beside it as well, but the Shasta daisy be taking over, y'all. But it's a very pretty display when they're both blooming. Behind that Shasta daisy, I moved the chamomile over here, and we have a little bit of chamomile that needs to be harvested. Chamomile didn't do that well this year. The other thing I moved over here was the feverfew. So if you remember, the feverfew was over here in front of the chairs, but I wanted to have like actual leg space. So also I moved the mint, and someone mentioned that I should put my mint in pots. Oh, it's been in pots the whole time. That's one of the things I saw when I first started gardening, that you do not put mint in the ground. So they've been in these pots since I started growing mint. But yes, my mint is absolutely in the pots, because mint will bully a whole garden bed. Shoot, it will bully a whole garden. Oregano, I believe, is a part of the mint family, so that explains why oregano grows so big. But I can use a lot of oregano. I could preserve a lot of oregano. I could do the same thing with the mint, but mint just seemed to be way harsher than oregano. Oh, by the way, got my walkway in, I put my weed barrier down into the orchard area, so it makes it a little bit easier. We're gonna look from below at the orchard area, and I'm gonna kind of point things out because I'm not going in there like that. So this is some thyme, and it looks really good. I need to harvest it. Can I use thyme after it starts flowering? I feel like I can. I should have just Googled it. I ain't think about it though. But yeah, it's a bunch of thyme down here that I need to harvest, because I really do like to use thyme. Oh, let me show y'all the fig tree. Look at the fig tree. It's growing, y'all. I feel so excited. I was watching Broke and Calvin the other night, their live that they do at night, and they were saying that fig trees will die all the way back and then come back. I'm so glad they said that, because I would have freaked out this winter when I came out here and saw that fig tree gone, because I want a fig so bad. So I'm glad that I saw their live, because now I know that it's probably gonna die back, and I'll just have to wait. Look at this bee, y'all. Oh, she moved. She was on shouldn't want to be filmed. She was on the comfrey flowers, and I tied that comfrey up. I did a lot of tying and staking because I just don't want it to be super messy this year. Even over here where I'm not going to try to walk through too much, but when I do want to walk through here, I want to be able to. I'm under the peach tree right now. Look at all these peaches. They real heavy too for the branch. I said I'm probably gonna throw some stakes over here too to try to hold this up a little bit, because this peach tree is like bogged down with peaches and it's pulling the branches down. Here's my thing. I feel like the tree's gonna do what the tree needs to do. So we're gonna see what happens. We really gonna see what happens. And then it doesn't help that the bird has been in it. But I am outside. This is that bird's home. I'm not gonna move that bird's nest, and if I don't get as many peaches as I expect or want, then that'll just be what it is this year. Also, I have another peach tree. If you've been here for a while, you know I have another peach tree that is also bogged down with peaches. So we're gonna just let it be. We're gonna let it be. Y'all see that grapevine? That grapevine is wild. And then over there is where we had already harvested some oregano. That plant is coming right back. I did also stake this rose bush. So we have new roses that's about to open up, and we got a beauty right there. So beautiful. Oh, I put the other feverfew in between the two roses, because this is where it's way too wet for anything. That's where my lavender was. I had to get out of there, y'all. I'm gonna try to, you know, give y'all tours of that this year, but I can't stay in there too long. But anyway, that's where my lavender was, and that has since passed away. And so we don't have that lavender anymore, but we have lavender over here, and there's a bunch of it. This is where you first come into the garden, and this is in the orchard. So there's a bunch of lavender back there. This mugwort is wild. Like, it gets huge. But back here is some more lavender. I think I had one sprig so far. Yeah, I had one sprig so far, but all of that is new. Like, I planted it last year, so it's gonna take some time for it to get its footing and to start growing and really giving me lavender. But I will say, when I walk through here, if like the wind is blowing, I can smell lavender, and it smells so good. And actually, there's two. There goes another one right there. Nice. So if you remember, I had put some cherry tomatoes on this trellis. It's trying to grow. I think they're getting shaded. They look very skinny, I will tell you that. But I think they get shaded quite a bit, which, you know, it's fine. I got tomatoes all over this garden, and I'm fine with that. The asparagus is still asparagusing. So they're still like bushing out and stuff. We're also still getting some new asparagus. Like right here, that's a new one. That's a new one. And if I didn't have that cat problem, I'd eat that right now, but I won't be doing that. So yeah, we got us another little asparagus. At the beginning of spring, that asparagus was throwing out asparagus spears. It's kind of slowed down a little bit, which is fine because we ate quite a bit of asparagus. I went to put the asparagus on the porch, but I wanted to show you the onions, the few onions. Those are the few onions that I harvested over the weekend. Not a lot, but even if I don't make powder, because that's not gonna make much powder at all. Even if I don't make powder, I'll just use them for fresh eating, for cooking and things. So I'm not upset about it. I do want some more onions though, so that's why I'm thinking of replanting them in the bricks, and I believe they should probably be ready by fall. We'll see what happens. But I do think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna start some, let them get some little some height to them, and then I'm gonna replant those too. So we still have this Swiss chard growing. It's the yellow one and the red one, I guess. I want to save the seeds, so that's why they're still here. And I stake them. I stake them so that they're not laying all over everything. But I do still want them because I want the seeds, so we're leaving them. Huge plant, like tall plant. And I can see the seeds are trying to form. So Pretty excited about that. Down by the asparagus, we have some snapdragons that's starting to bloom. They look beautiful, and they're giving me more than one shoot, so that's a plus. It rained today, that's why they're kind of laying over, but they're beautiful. I moved some more squash. So I feel like if I plant enough squash, I'm gonna get a squash harvest this year. So there's squash all over this garden this year because I want some squash. And if the squash vine boys take out 3 or 4 plants, I probably got 10. So with that being said, I'm gonna get some squash this year, y'all. I better get some squash this year. Right here, we have some leeks. I don't think they're doing so well. Some of them I also replanted on Saturday or Sunday, whenever I did this, when I was clearing the beds and removing things. So some of those I replanted. We'll see what happens. It has been very rainy here, and so I imagine the soil is just soaked. And it's not normally that rainy here in the spring. I don't know why we getting so much rain this year, but it's been very rainy here. It may be too much rain for these leeks. I don't know. I'm gonna leave them as it gets warmer. Maybe they'll start to pep back up. I don't know. The last time I planted leeks, I left them for a very long time. And by the end of, I think a fall or so, I was starting to get leek harvest. So I'm still hopeful. All right, so over here we have beans. This is a bush variety. I'm sure they'll start flowering soon, but that's a bush variety of beans. There are still some onions in this bed as well. I don't know what this is. It was popping up. It's popping up everywhere in the garden. It may be lettuce, honestly. If you remember, I reused soil when I did my winter sowing, and I had lettuce everywhere. So this might be lettuce. I'm really not sure. So of course, if you know me like I think you know me, you know I'm not gonna eat it. But I will throw it back in the garden so it can get back to the soil. Behind the beans, we have some marigolds. We have some more squash. Another marigold right here, and some more squash. And then behind those, we have some basil. This is the basil we also cut together as well, so that's coming back real nicely. Now this one looked like it's struggling a little bit, but it's getting better day by day. The curled leaves, it's getting better day by day. There's more leeks back here. They look just as bad as the leeks in the front, just so you know. And then behind that is the tree collards that still haven't gone to seed. So excited. But yeah, the tree collards are still looking really good. And then on the other side of those tree collards is another pretty little snapdragon, and it has a different color on it. Like, I really like this one. It's yellow and red. I don't know how it's showing up on the camera, but it's yellow and red, and I think it's so pretty. I am getting a second shoot, but I'll probably cut this down to maybe here so it can start to give me more than one. But I do think it's very pretty. And of course, my tomatoes. I got another row of Florida weed tomatoes. These are my paste tomatoes. All the way down this back row is paste tomatoes. And so like here, I had one that was shorter than the rest. But I still did the string, and then as it grows, as long as I catch it soon enough, I can slide it right on in there, and it can grow straight up. I broke a few of them doing this, but not a few. Always got to be so extra. I broke 2, y'all. I broke a couple, not I didn't break a few. Anyway, yeah, so that's how we're doing that. Even if it broke, I still string up the rest of them, but I try to pay attention to make sure that I add that one into the strings as it's growing up. So in the bed right beside that, this is the other block bed. We moved some snapdragons over here, so they look pretty bad, but I'm sure over time they'll get better. These are also leeks that don't look good, but we'll see what happens. Oh, my fennel looks really good. So remember, this is what we were supposed to have tomatillos. The tomatillos didn't germinate, and so we put the fennel there, and the fennel is looking good. It's starting to stand up. I mean, it looks really good. I like it. I think it's pretty. I don't know what it's gonna taste like. I know a few people said that it does have a licorice taste, but it's not a super strong licorice taste. So we're gonna find out. We absolutely gonna find out. Oh my gosh, y'all, wait a minute. This is a whole dead bean plant over here. I think the vole or the mole is going under these beds. I think that's why I'm not having great success in these beds in the summer. I imagine in the fall and winter, like the mole and the vole maybe hibernates, I don't know. But then in the summer, it comes out. And so maybe it's like disconnecting things from the soil. Maybe it's eating the roots. I'm really not sure what it's doing, but I'm still gonna grow in them and see what happens. I won't lie, it's a little disheartening. It's a little disheartening because I can see where the soil is being pushed up, and like I'm pushing my foot down on this and I could push that soil down. I really think it's the vole or the mole, but look at this bean plant. This bean plant was alive yesterday. It was alive yesterday, y'all. I have no idea. Both of them were alive yesterday. So I don't know really what the issue is. I'm gonna leave it, I guess, for a few days. If it doesn't grow, I mean, like if there's no new leaves, then I'm gonna definitely take those out. Also, I'm not sure that I didn't plant a vining bean right here. I had to go in the house and grab more beans, and I may not have been paying attention because I'm gonna tell you why I think so. Because why is this so tall, y'all? Like, I don't think it's supposed to be like that. I definitely think that I planted a runner bean in this space. Not all of them, but some of them may be runner beans. So anywho, behind the beans, so even like the calendula is not looking amazing in this bed. And that's a miniature sunflower. We have some marigolds growing over here. Marigolds and squash again. So this is calendula, sunflower. But even the basil is not looking amazing in this bed. So I really don't know what's going on with this bed. By the way, the cilantro, you can smell it, but it is definitely going to seed, but I'm leaving it because I want the seeds. I want the coriander. And then, of course, the kale that we harvested, it didn't go to seed, and it's still growing new leaves, so I'm excited about that. The bed itself just doesn't look good. Even the other one, it just doesn't look good. So I'm not sure what's going on in there. But the crazy part is all of the fall things grew fine. This tree collar is growing fine. So I really don't know what's going on in these beds. I don't. It's okay. And then on this trellis, we had direct sown some things, and so those things have popped up, and we just waiting to see what happens here because I'm hoping to have a lot of whatever they are. I think it's Trombicino squash and some other little squash that somebody has sent me, so I planted those. And then on the other side of the trellis too, those things germinated. So we're giving them time to grow. But I'm going to give y'all like a look at those beds compared to all the other beds in my garden. Like, I don't really want to have to, but I might end up having to, like, after this season, like really go through this soil. But I really don't think it's the soil because in fall it did fine. We're not going to keep hopping on this. But anyway, look at these beds. I mean, compared to everything else in the garden, they just don't look good. I don't know. All right, so right beside the block bed, we have a lot of calendula. I had showed y'all that. I harvested a lot of it this morning. Well, there I go again. I harvested some of it this morning. And then I deadheaded the ones that needed to be deadheaded because I plan to make some oil and some salve with that this year. I did oil and salve before, and the oil I think was fine. It was the salve that did not do well. Like, I was like, what in the world? My feet were so dry. I was like, well, I'm sure that's not what it's supposed to be doing for me. Anywho, so we have the calendula down here, and then we have roselle in the back. And if you remember when we planted these out, they were pretty small. They're getting really big now. There's another calendula over there. And when I planted out the roselle, someone was saying like they get really big. I know they do. I grew them last year, but I grew, I think, 4 back there. Last year is only 3. So I feel confident that they'll be fine back there this year too. In that same bed, we have some onions. They don't look good, but we still leaving them. And then we have some dill at either corner. So there's another one over here. It's just kind of small. It may be getting shaded. And then on the other side, we have borage, and I staked that because borage gets really big. Haven't staked this one in the middle. All of this borage that you see right here is 3 plants right here. It's another one over there. It all self-sowed. Borage self-sows something terrible, but I really like having borage in my garden. It's good for the bees. Like, you get bees all over the plants, and the flowers are edible. I think the leaves are also edible. Don't quote me, go look it up. But I think the leaves are also edible, and it tastes like cucumber. So yay. Also, let me tell y'all what I did. Y'all know I'm horrible at growing. Y'all know I'm horrible at growing watermelon, right? So I got 1 watermelon down here. It should have been 2. And I do see one. Maybe it came up. So I got 2 watermelon. But I also put those candy roasted squash back here because they'll have room to vine and I don't need to trellis them. So I started some in some sale trays. And so there are my candy roasted squash plants. They look really good. They were a part of the seeds that I had started just recently. And so this weekend went ahead and put them in the ground. I did not wait for the true leaves because I feel like when I plant things smaller, they get established a little bit easier, and I don't see a lot of transplant shock. So I went ahead and put them in. They never limped. They never did any of that. They never went limp or did any of that. So I feel comfortable with that. We also have some peppers down here, and they're looking good. We got some flowers on them. The one over there also came out of the greenhouse, so that one is looking a little rough right now, but I think it'll come back. And then we have some beans over here as well, and then marigold, some basil that I just planted as well. Let's go and do the across the back. So we have some more tomato plant. These are our cherry tomatoes. This one is growing faster than the rest of them, and so I need to go ahead and tie that one up, and this one too. So I'll probably do that. Gotta get this one in here. Let's make sure we put this one in here like we did in other places in the garden, and it'll go ahead and start growing up too. So do y'all remember the dino kale that was in the bed right before, like right when you came in the garden? I transplanted that too. And so this is a shady spot. Dinosaur kale is, of course, a kale. It's a brassica. Likes cool weather more than heat. So I figured this would be a great place to put it, and maybe I can keep it all summer long. And then just for fun, we threw another squash plant back here, and we transplanted that one. So it's still a little limp. Then behind that on the trellis, we have a blue butterfly plant. We have that one amaranth that grew, but it is growing, so I'm excited. And then I put some, what is this? Cuckoozy gourds over here. And I had a jelly melon over there, but it didn't make it. And I'm not gonna try to start it again. On the front end of that bed, we also have some beans and some basil up there. I'm gonna show y'all real quick what that's looking like. So we have beans and basil going across the front of this bed. That's basil back there. And then we have some more roselle over here as well, with some nasturtiums. And then in the other Vigo garden bed, we have that borage plant that's self-sowed. There are some potatoes that came up in here. And someone mentioned that when I was harvesting potatoes, they thought that I put the potatoes in the bed. You might be right, because I don't know where potatoes came from. I just don't know where potatoes came from. I did not put them in there on purpose, or that I remember. And in that same bed is this big old sunflower that volunteered. So that's beautiful. So across from the bed that I just showed you, there is another bed. And this is where my artichokes were. They didn't come back this year, so you know, it is what it is. We have some nasturtiums in the front, and then I planted some cucumbers on this trellis. So those are some of the ones that I started just recently. And then I put a basil and more squash. Like I said, some of these squash plants gonna have to give me some squash, and that's why I put so many in here. Remember, we cut back the lemon balm just recently, so that's still trying to come back. That is in a pot. We have a little more comfrey. We had an extra tomato, so that's staked on a bamboo stake. But yeah, We got an extra tomato over here with some flowers on it. Right behind that is the bed we had planted out together. I still didn't get a chance to root my rosemary, so I still need to do that. But the things that we did put in here are looking pretty good for the most part. We lost a marshmallow, but you know I got a whole bunch of marshmallow plants left. So one marshmallow plant is looking good. The verbena is looking good. These are both verbena. I did throw some basil in here. It was extra, so I used it. And then that sage, that pineapple sage we put in here, that is also looking really good. I wish y'all could smell it because it smells so good. I mean, ooh, it smells delicious. So, y'all, oh, and then of course the anise hyssop over here and that other marshmallow plant, just as big as ever. I'm just waiting for the flowers because it's gonna be beautiful. But I think that's the garden tour aside from the flower bed. Y'all, my hollyhock looked terrible. It looked terrible. I'm probably gonna end up cutting it down, see if maybe it'll grow back, but it looks terrible. The rust took it out. Look at it. It poor little thing looks so terrible. I did tie it to the porch, but it looks absolutely terrible. And so I started some more flowers, and so whatever we end up getting, that's gonna go here. I had a sedum that was in the compost pile, so I just pulled it out and put it back in here, because look at this. We'll come back. Look at this sedum from last year. It is beautiful. I've never seen it flower, but someone said they have very pretty flowers, so it is close to flowering, if you can see right there. We're gonna get some flowers. And then of course we left the foxgloves, my butterfly plant, milkweed, whichever one it is, that's also flowering. I think it's so pretty. We have some zinnias down here. We have some more foxgloves. Then there's a small little dahlia back there. I don't know what that's gonna do. Oh, and another hollyhock. So that is pretty much the garden tour in late May. We are going into June. The garden still looks good to me. Even with these two beds that is giving me a fit, I think it still looks good. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to visit me over on Instagram, where I post about the things going on in my garden almost every day. Bye, y'all.